You Can't Take It With You by Kaufman and Hart. Act 1, Scene 1, the home of Martin Vanerhof, just around the corner from Columbia University, but don't go looking for it. The room we see is what is customarily described as a living room, but in this house, the term is something of an understatement. The everyman for himself room would be more like it. For here, meals are eaten, plays are written, snakes collected, ballet steps practiced, xylophones played, printing presses operated. If there were room enough, there would probably be ice skating. In short, the brood presided over by Martin Vanerhof goes on about the business of living in the fullest sense of the word. From Grandpa Vanerhof's down, they are individualists. This is a house where you do as you like and no questions asked. At the moment, Grandpa Vanerhof's daughter, Mrs. Penelope Sycamore, is doing what she likes more than anything else in the world. She is writing a play, her 11th. Comfortably ensconced in what is affectionately known as Mother's Corner, she is pounding away on a typewriter perched precariously on a rickety card table. Also on the table is one of those plaster Paris skulls ordinarily used as an ashtray, but which serves Penelope as a candy jar. And because Penny likes companionship, there are 2 kittens on the table, busily lapping at a saucer of milk. Penelope Vanerhof Sycamore is a round little woman in her early 50s, comfortable looking, and don't she look comfortable? Gentle, homey, one would not suspect that under that placid exterior there surges the divine urge, but it does. After a moment, her fingers lag on the keys. A thoughtful expression comes over her face. Abstractedly, she takes a piece of candy out of the skull, pops it into her mouth. As always, it furnishes the needed inspiration. With a furious burst of speed, she finishes a page and whips it out of the machine. Quite mechanically, she picks up one of the kittens, adds the sheet of paper to the pile underneath, replaces the kitten. As she goes back to work, Essie Carmichael, Mrs. Sycamore's eldest daughter, comes in from the kitchen. A girl of about 29, very slight, a curious air of the pixie about her. She's wearing ballet slippers. In fact, she wears them throughout the play.
Oh my, that kitchen's hot.
What, Essie?
I say that kitchen's awful hot. That new candy I'm making, it just won't ever get cool.
Well, do you have to make candy today, Essie? It's such a hot day.
Well, I got all those new orders. Ed went out and got a bunch of new orders.
My, if it keeps up, I suppose you'll be opening up a store.
That's what Ed was saying last night. But I said no. I want to be a dancer.
The only trouble with dancing is that it takes so long. You've been studying such a long time.
Only 8 years. After all, Mother, you've been writing plays for 8 years. We started about the same time, didn't we?
Yes, but you shouldn't count my first 2 years because I was learning to type.
I think the candy is hardening up now, Miss Essie.
Oh, thanks, Rheba. I'll bring some in. Mother, I want you to try it.
Finish the second act, Mrs. Sycamore.
What?
I said, did you finish the second act?
Oh, no, Rheba. I've just got Cynthia entering the monastery.
She was at the Kit Kat, wasn't she?
Well, she gets tired of the Kit Kat Club, and there's this monastery, so she goes there.
Did they let her in?
Yes, I made it Visitors' Day, so of course anyone can come.
Oh.
So she arrives on Visitors' Day and just stays.
You mean she stays all night?
Oh, yes. She stays 6 years.
6 years. I bet she busts that monastery wide open.
6 years later.
Mr. DePinna, Mr. DePinna, will you bring up one of those new skyrockets, please? I want to show them to Mrs. Sycamore. Look, Penny, what do you think of these little firecrackers we just made? We can sell them 10 strings for a cent. Listen, nice, huh?
Yes, Paul dear. Were you ever in a monastery?
No, I wasn't. Wait till you see new rockets, gold stars, then blue stars, and then bombs, and then a balloon. Mr. DePinna thought of the balloon.
Sounds lovely. Did you do all of that today?
Sure. We made up. Oh, here we are. Look, Penny, cost us 18 cents to make, and we sell them for 50. How many do you figure we can make before the 4th of July, Mr. DePinna?
Well, we've got 2 weeks yet. What day you gonna take the stuff up to Mount Vernon?
About a week. We're going to need a larger booth this year. Got a lot of stuff made up. Come on, we're not through yet.
Look, Mr. Sycamore, I'm afraid the powder chamber is just a little bit close to the balloon.
Well, we've got the stars and the bombs in between.
But that doesn't give the balloon time enough. A balloon needs plenty of time.
Come on. Let's go down to the cellar and try it.
All right.
Mr. De Pinna, if a girl you loved entered a monastery, what would you do?
Oh, I don't know, Mrs. Sycamore. It's been so long.
Miss Alice is going to be home tonight for dinner, Mrs. Sycamore.
What? Oh, I don't know, Rheba. Maybe?
Well, I set a place for her, but she's only been home one night this week.
Yes, I know.
Miss Essie's been making some mighty good candy today. She's doing something with new cocoa nuts.
Oh, huh. That's nice.
Let's see, 6 and Mr. De Pinna, and if Mr. Kolenkhov comes, that makes 8, don't it? Yes, I better set for 8.
Rheba, I think I'll put this play away for a while and go back to the war play.
Oh, I always like that one. The war play. Boom! Boom!
They'll be better when they're harder, Mother, but try one. I want to know what you think.
Oh, they look lovely. What do you call them?
I think I'll call them love dreams.
Yes, that's nice. I'm going back to my war play, Essie. What do you think?
Oh, are you, Mother?
Yes, I sort of got myself into a monastery and I can't get out.
Oh, well, it'll come to you, Mother. Remember how you got out of that brothel? The snakes look hungry. Did Rheba feed them?
I don't know. Rheba, did you feed the snakes yet?
No, Donald's come in and he always brings flies with him.
Well, try to feed them before Grandpa gets home. You know how fussy he is about them.
Yes,
And here, take Groucho and Harpo into the kitchen with you. I believe I'll have another love dream.
Mr. De Pinna was right about the balloon. It was too close to the powder.
Want a love dream, Father? They're on the table.
No thanks. I gotta wash.
I'm going back to the war play, Paul.
Oh, that's nice. We're putting some red stars after the bombs and then the balloon. That ought to do it.
You know, Mr. Kolenkhov says I'm his most promising pupil.
You'd think that with 40 monks and one girl that something would happen.
Essie, hey, Essie. Bum, 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 bum.
I like that, Ed. Did you write it?
No, Beethoven.
Oh, lovely. Got a lot of you in it. I made these new candies this afternoon, Ed.
Yeah?
You can take them around tonight.
All right. Now here's the finish. This is me. Ba-dum, ba-dum. How's that?
Ah, that's fine. Remember it when Kolenkhov comes, will you?
Ed, dear, why don't you and Essie have a baby? I was thinking about it just the other day.
I don't know. We could have one if you wanted us to. What about it, Essie? Do you want to have a baby?
Oh, I don't care. I'm willing if Grandpa is.
Let's ask him.
Labor play, religious play, sex play. I know it's here somewhere.
I was right about the balloon. It was too close to the powder.
Anything you want printed, Mr. De Pinna? How about some more calling cards?
No, thanks. I still got the first 1,000.
Call on somebody, will you?
All right.
What have we got for dinner, Reba? I'm ready to print the menu.
Let's see, cornflakes, watermelon, some of these candies Miss Essie made, some kind of meat, I forget.
I think I'll set it up in bold-faced Cheltenham tonight. You know, if I'm going to take those new candies around, I'd better print up some descriptive matter after dinner.
Do you think anyone reads those things, Ed, that you put in the candy boxes? Oh, there's the war play. Poison gas. Oh, I guess that's Donald. Look at Reba smile.
The boyfriend, huh, Reba?
They're awfully cute, Donald and Rheba. Sort of like Porgy and Bess.
Hello, Rheba.
Donald!
Evening, everybody.
Hi, Donald. How have you been?
I'm pretty good, Mr. Ed. How are you? How you been, Mrs. Sycamore?
Very well, thank you, Donald.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you ever in a monastery?
No, I don't go no place much. I'm on relief.
Ah, of course.
Here's the flies, Rheba. Got a big mess of them today.
You sure did.
I see you've been working, Mrs. Sycamore.
Yes, indeed, Donald.
How's Grandpa?
Oh, just fine. He's at Columbia this afternoon. The commencement exercises.
My, the years certainly do roll around.
M-E-A-T. What's he go there for all the time, Penny?
Oh, I don't know. It's just so handy. It's just around the corner.
Oh, Donald, Mr. DePin and I are going to take the fireworks up to Mount Vernon next week. Do you think you could give us a hand?
Yes, sir. Only I can't take no money for it this year because if the government finds out I'm working, they'll get sore.
Oh, Ed, I got a wonderful idea in the bathroom just now. I was reading Trotsky. It's yours, isn't it?
Yeah, I left it there.
Who is it?
You know, Trotsky, the Russian Revolution.
Oh,
Anyhow, it struck me it was a great fireworks idea. Remember the last days of Pompeii?
yes, Palisades Park. It's where we met.
Well, I'm going to do the revolution, a full-hour display.
Say,
Paul, that's wonderful.
The red fire is the flag, huh?
Sure, and the Tsar and the Cossacks?
and the freeing of the slaves?
No, Donald, the Russian Revolution.
Well, sir, you should have been there. That's all I can say. You should have been there.
Was it a nice commencement, Grandpa?
Oh, wonderful. They get better every year. You don't know how lucky you are. You snakes. You don't know how lucky you are. You're snakes.
Big class this year, Grandpa? How many were there?
Oh, must have been 2 acres. Everybody graduated. Yes, sir. And much funnier speeches than they had last year.
You want to listen to a good speech, you go up and hear Father Divine.
Yeah, I'll wait. They'll have him at Columbia.
Donald, will you tell Reba Grandpa's home now and we won't wait for Miss Alice?
Yes'm. Reba, Grandpa's home. We can have dinner.
We made a new skyrocket today, Grandpa. Wait till you see it.
Evening, Grandpa.
Evening, Mr. DePina.
Didn't we make a fine rocket today, Mr. DePina?
Oh, we certainly did.
Wonder why they don't have fireworks at commencements.
Don't make enough noise. You take a good commencement orator, and he'll drown out a whole carload of fireworks. And say just as much, too.
Don't the graduates ever say anything?
No, they just sit there in cap and nightgown, get their diplomas, and then along about 40 years from now, they suddenly say, where am I?
Hello, Grandpa. Have a nice day.
Hello, have a nice day. Don't I even get kissed?
Excuse me, Grandpa.
I'll take a tomato, too. You know, I could have used a couple of these this afternoon.
Father?
No, thanks.
Mother?
No, thanks, dear.
Now play something, Ed.
All right.
There was a letter that came for you, Grandpa. Did you get it?
Letter for me? I don't know anybody.
It was for you, though. Had your name on it.
That's funny. Where is it?
I don't know. Where's Grandpa's letter, Mother?
What, dear?
Where's that letter that came for Grandpa last week?
I don't know. Oh, I remember seeing the kittens on it.
Who was it from? Did you notice?
Yes, it was on the outside.
Well, who was it?
United States government.
Really? I wonder what they wanted.
There was one before that, too, from the same people. There were a couple of them.
Well, if any more come, I wish you'd give them to me.
Yes, Grandpa.
I think I'll go out to Westchester tomorrow and do a little snake hunting.
God is the state is God.
What's that?
God is the state is God.
Who says that?
Trotsky.
Well, that's all right. I thought you said it.
It's nice for printing, you know? Good and short. G-O-D space I-S space T-H-E space.
And so the beautiful princess came into the palace and kissed her mother and her father and her grandfather.
Hello, darling.
Oh, hi, Grandpa. And what do you think? They turned into the Sycamore family. Surprised?
Oh, Alice, I like it.
Oh, do you?
Ooh, isn't it?
Looks nice and summery.
Where'd you get it?
Oh, I took a walk during lunch hour.
Taking a lot of walks lately. It's the second new dress this week.
I just like to brighten up the office once in a while. I'm known as the K. Francis of Kirby and Company. Oh, well, what's new around here in the way of plays, snakes, ballet, dancing, or fireworks? Dad, I'll bet you've been down in that cellar all day.
Huh?
I'm going back to the war play, Alice.
Really, Mother?
Play Alice, that Beethoven song you wrote.
You know, you can mail a letter all the way from Nicaragua now for 2 pesetos.
Really?
Kenneth, my virginity is a priceless thing to me.
Now, listen, people, listen. I'm not home to dinner. A young gentleman is calling for me.
Really? Who is it?
Well, isn't that nice?
Well, I did everything possible to keep him from coming here, but he's calling for me.
Why don't you both stay for dinner?
No, I want him to take you in easy doses. I've tried to prepare him a little, but don't make it any worse than you can help. Don't read him any plays, Mother. And don't let a snake bite him, Grandpa, because I like him. And I wouldn't dance for him, Essie, because we're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet tonight.
Can't do anything. Who is he? President of the United States?
No, he's Vice President of Kirby and Company, Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.
The boss's son?
Well,
The boss's son, just like in the movies.
That explains the new dresses.
Oh,
And not being home to dinner for 3 weeks.
why, Sherlock Holmes.
are you going to marry him?
Oh, of course, tonight. Meanwhile, I've got to go up and put on my wedding dress.
Is he good looking?
Oh, yes, in a word. Oh dear, what time is it?
I don't know. Anyone know what time it is?
Mr. DePinna might know.
It was about 5 o'clock a couple of hours ago.
Oh, I ought to know better than to ask you people. Will you let me know the minute he comes, please?
Of course, Alice.
Yes, I know, but I mean the minute he comes.
Why, of course.
Well, be sure.
Well, what do you think of that?
She seems to like him, if you ask me.
Should say so. She's got it bad.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if she married him? We could have the wedding right in this room.
Now, wait a minute, Penny. This is the first time he's ever called for the girl.
You only called for me once.
Young people are different nowadays.
Oh, I don't know. Look at Ed and me. He came to dinner once and just stayed.
Anyhow, I think it's wonderful, don't you, Grandpa?
She certainly seems happy about it.
He must be crazy about her. Maybe he's the one who's taking her out every night. Oh, there he is. Never mind, Rheba. I'll answer it. Now remember what Alice said and be very nice to him.
All right, let's go take a look at him.
Well, welcome to our little home.
How do you do?
I'm Alice's mother. Do come right in. Here we are. This is Grandpa, and that's Alice's father, and Alice's sister, and her husband, Ed Carmichael. Well, now, give me your hat and make yourself right at home.
I'm afraid you must be making a mistake.
How's that?
Sorry. My card.
Wilbur C. Henderson, Internal Revenue Department.
That's right.
What can we do for you?
Does a Mr. Martin Vanderhof live here?
Yes, sir. That's me.
Well, Mr. Vanderhof, the government wants to talk to you about a little matter of income tax.
Income tax?
You mind if I sit down?
No, go right ahead.
Thank you.
Mother, is that Mr. Kirby?
No, it isn't, darling. It's internal something or another. Pardon me.
Mr. Sycamore, oh, well, excuse me.
What is it?
These things are not going off. Look.
Not here, Mr. DePinna. Grandpa's busy.
No, sorry.
Pardon me.
Now, Mr. Vanderhof, we've written you several letters about this that have not had any reply.
Ah, that's what those letters were.
I told you they were from the government.
According to our records, Mr. Vanderhof, you have never paid an income tax.
That's right.
Why not?
I don't believe in it.
Well, you own property, don't you?
Yes, sir.
And you receive a yearly income from it?
I do.
Of between $3,000 and $4,000?
About that.
And you have been receiving it for years?
I have. 1901, if you want the exact date.
Well, the government is only concerned from 1914 on. That's when the income tax started.
Well?
Well, it seems, Mr. Vanderhof, that you owe the government 24 years back income tax.
Wait a minute. You can't go back that far. That's outlawed.
What's your name?
What difference does that make?
Ever file an income tax return?
No, sir.
Ah, what was your income last year?
$28.50, wasn't it, Essie?
Yes, sir.
If you please. Now, Mr. Vanderhof, you know there's quite a penalty for not filing an income tax return.
Penalty?
Look, Mr. Henderson, let me ask you something.
Well?
Suppose I pay you this money. Mind you, I don't say I'm going to pay it, but just for the sake of argument. What's the government going to do with it?
How do you mean?
Well, what do I get for my money? If I go into Macy's and buy something, there it is. I see it. What's the government going to give me?
Well, the government gives you everything. It protects you.
What from?
Well, invasion. Foreigners that might come over here and take everything you've got.
Oh, I don't think they're going to do that.
Well, if you didn't pay an income tax, they would. How do you think the government keeps up the Army and the Navy? All those battleships?
Oh, last time we used battleships was in the Spanish-American War. And what did we get out of that? Cuba. And we gave that back. I wouldn't mind paying if there was something sensible.
Sensible? Well, what about Congress and the Supreme Court and the President? We've got to pay for them, don't we?
Not with my money, no, sir.
Now, wait a minute. I'm not here to argue with you. All I know is that you haven't paid an income tax, and you've got to pay it.
They've got to show me.
We don't have to show you. I just told you. All those buildings down in Washington. Interstate commerce and the Constitution.
The Constitution was paid for long ago. And interstate commerce, what is interstate commerce anyhow?
There are 48 states, see? And if there wasn't interstate commerce, nothing could go from one state to another. See?
Why not? They got fences?
No. They haven't got fences. They've got laws. My God, I've never come across anything like this before.
Well, I might pay about $75, but that's all it's worth.
You'll pay every cent of it, like everybody else.
Listen, Essie, listen to this a minute. Dun, 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 dun.
And let me tell you something else. You'll go to jail if you don't pay. Do you hear that? That's the law. If you think you're bigger than the law, you've got another thing coming. You know better than anybody else, and the sooner you get that through your head, the better. You'll hear from the United States government. That's all I can say.
Better look out for those snakes.
Jesus!
How was that, Essie?
Fine, Ed.
How did that sound to you folks?
I liked it.
My goodness, he was mad, wasn't he?
Not his fault. Just that the whole thing is so silly.
Well, he forgot his hat.
Well, say, what size is that hat?
7 1/8.
Well, just right for me.
Who was that fellow anyway?
This must be Mr. Kirby.
Better make sure this time.
Yes, I will.
Oh, I hope he's good looking.
How do you do?
Good evening.
Is this Mr. Anthony Kirby Jr.?
Yes.
Well, Mr. Kirby, come right in. We've been expecting you. Come right in. This is really Mr. Kirby. Now, I'm Alice's mother, and that's Mr. Sycamore, and Alice's grandfather, and her sister Essie, and Essie's husband. There. Now you know all of us, Mr. Kirby. Give me your hat and make yourself right at home.
Thank you.
Is that Mr. Kirby, Mother?
Yes, Alice, it is. He's lovely.
I'll be right down.
Do sit down, Mr. Kirby.
Thank you. I hope I'm not keeping you from dinner?
No, have a tomato.
Oh, no, thank you.
How about a piece of candy?
No, thanks.
Oh, I forgot to introduce you to Mr. Pinna. This is Mr. Pinna, Mr. Kirby.
How do you do? Wasn't I reading about your father in the newspaper the other day? Didn't he get indicted or something?
Oh, hardly that. He just testified before the Securities Commission.
Oh.
Yes, of course. I'm sure there was nothing crooked about it, Mr. Pinna. As a matter of fact, Alice has often told us what a lovely man your father is.
Well, I know Father couldn't get along without Alice. She knows more about the business than any of us.
You're awful young, Mr. Kirby, aren't you, to be vice president of a big place like that?
Well, you know what that means, vice president. All I have is a desk with my name on it.
Is that all? Don't you get any salary?
Well, a little. More than I'm worth, I'm afraid.
Now you're just being modest.
Sounds kind of dull to me, Wall Street. Do you like it?
Well, the hours are short, and I haven't been there very long.
Well, just out of college, huh?
Well, I knocked around for a while first, just sort of had fun.
What did you do? Travel?
For a while. Then I went to Cambridge for a year.
Oh, England.
That's right.
Say, what's an English commencement like? Did you see any?
Oh, very impressive.
They are, huh?
Yeah, anyhow, now the fun's over, and I'm facing the world.
Well, you've certainly got a good start, Mr. Kirby. Vice president and a rich father.
That's hardly my fault.
So now I suppose you're all ready to settle down and get married.
Come now, Penny. I'm sure Mr. Kirby knows his own mind.
I wasn't making up his mind for him, was I, Mr. Kirby?
Oh, that's quite all right, Mrs. Sycamore.
You see?
Mustn't rush him, Mother.
Well, all I meant is he's bound to get married, and suppose the wrong girl gets him.
Well, here I am, a vision in white. Apparently you've had time to get acquainted.
Oh, yes, indeed. We were just having a delightful talk about love and marriage.
Oh, dear. I'm sorry. I came down as fast as I could.
I didn't mind in the least.
Damn those flies in the kitchen. Oh, Miss Alice, you look beautiful. Where are you going?
I'm going out, Rheba.
Step in, huh?
Oh, that must be Kolenkhov.
I think we'd better go, Tony.
All right.
Grandpa, you take cream on your cornflakes? I forget.
Half and half, Donald.
Ah, my little Rabishka.
Yes, let's Kolenkhov, all right.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kolenkhov.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Evening.
Grandpa, what do you think? I have had a letter from Russia. The second 5-year plan is a failure.
I practiced today, Mr. Kolenkhov.
My Pavlova,
Well, if you'll excuse us, Mr. Kolenkhov.
my little Alice.
Oh.
Never have I seen you look so magnificent.
Oh,
Mr.
thank
Kolenkhov,
you.
turn on your
Mr.
camera.
Kolenkhov.
Oh, sorry.
Tony, this is Mr. Kolenkhov, Essie's dancing teacher. Mr. Kirby.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Will you pardon us, Mr. Kolenkhov? We're going to the Monte Carlo Ballet.
The Monte Carlo Ballet. It stinks.
Yes, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm so glad to have met you all.
Bye.
Bye, goodbye.
Monte Carlo Ballet.
Isn't Mr. Kirby lovely? Oh, come on, everybody. Dinner's ready.
I thought he was a nice fellow, didn't you?
And so good looking.
And he had such nice manners. Did you notice, Paul? Did you notice his manners?
Certainly did. You were getting pretty personal with him.
Oh, now, Paul. Anyhow, he's a very nice young man.
He looks like a cousin of mine.
Boxed. Yagalev. Then you had the ballet.
I think if they get married here, I'll put the altar right where the snakes are. You wouldn't mind, Grandpa, would you?
Well, not if the snakes don't.
Oh, no, they want to get married in a church. His family and everything.
Yes, of course they
I
would.
like church weddings.
Of course.
Quiet, everybody, quiet. Well, sir, we've been getting along pretty good for quite a while now, and we're certainly much obliged. Remember, all we ask is to just go along and be happy in our own sort of way. Of course, we want to keep our health, but as far as anything else is concerned, we'll leave it to you. Thank you. So, the second 5-year plan is a failure, eh, Kolenkhov?
Catastrophic. And wait until they try the third 5-year plan.
Of course, his family is going to want to come. Imagine Alice marrying a Kirby.
Oh, think of that. Isn't it exciting?
I'll play the wedding march on the xylophone.
What have we got for dinner? I'm hungry.
Curtain! Act 1, Scene 2. Late the same night, the house is in darkness, save for a light in the hall. An accordion is heard off stage right, then suddenly a good loud bang from the cellar. Somewhere in the nether regions, one of the Sycamores is still at work. As the accordion player finishes the song, the sound of a key in the outer door, the voices of Alice and Tony drift through.
I could see them dance every night of the week. I think they're marvelous.
Well, they are, aren't they? But of course, walking inside any theater gives me a thrill.
Well, it's been so lovely, Tony. I hate to have it over.
Oh, is it over? Do I have to go right away?
Not if you don't want to.
Well, I don't.
Would you like a cold drink?
Wonderful.
I'll see what's in the icebox. Want to come along?
Oh, I'd follow you to the ends of the earth.
Oh, just the kitchen is enough.
Oh, why, I like it. You've done it very simply, haven't you?
Yes, well, we didn't know whether to do it Empire or Neo-Grecian.
So you settled for Frigidaire.
Yes, it's so easy to live with. Oh, lucky you're not hungry, Mr. K. An icebox full of cornflakes. That gives you a rough idea about the Sycamores.
Well, of course, why they make these open bottle openers for singer midgets. I never did.
Oh!
Over my coat.
Oh, I'll take mine in a glass if you don't mind.
There you are, a foaming beaker.
Anyhow, it's cold.
Now, if you'll please be seated, I'd like to offer a toast.
We are seated.
But, Miss Sycamore, to you.
Oh, thank you. To you. You know oh, yes.
You know something?
What?
I wouldn't trade 1 minute of this evening for all the rice in China.
Really?
Cross my heart.
Is there much rice in China?
Terrific. I mean, didn't you read The Good Earth? Oh, well, I suppose I ought to go.
Oh, is it very late?
Yeah, very. I don't want to go.
I don't want you to.
All right, I won't. When do you get your vacation?
Well, last 2 weeks in August.
I might take mine then, too.
Really?
What are you going to do?
Oh, I don't know. I hadn't thought about it much.
Going away, do you think?
I might not. I like the city in the summertime.
I do, too.
But you always go up to Maine, don't you?
That's right. But I'm sure I would like the city in the summertime if... you know what I mean, Alice. I'd love it if you were here.
Well, it'd be nice if you were here, Tony.
You know what you're saying, don't you?
What?
That you'd rather spend the summer with me than anybody else.
Oh, was I?
Well, if it's true about the summer, how would you feel about the winter?
Yes. I'd like that too.
Well, then there's spring and autumn. If you could see your way clear about those, Miss Sycamore.
I might.
Well, I guess that's the whole year. We haven't forgotten anything, have we?
No.
Well, then.
Is that you, Alice? What time is it? Oh, excuse me, Mr. Kirby. I had no idea. That is, I didn't mean to interrupt anything.
Oh, not at all, Mrs. Sycamore.
No, Mother.
I just came down for a manuscript. Then you can go right ahead. Oh, here it is. Sex takes a holiday. Well, good night, Tony.
Good night, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, I think you can call me Penny, don't you, Alice? At least I hope so.
What's that?
It's all right, Tony. That's Father.
Oh, this time of night?
Any time of night, any time of day.
You know, you're more beautiful, more lovely, more adorable than anyone else in the world.
Don't, Tony.
My dear, just because your mother, all mothers are like that, Alice, and Penny's a darling. You see, I'm even calling her Penny.
Oh, I don't mean that. Look, Tony, this is something I should have said a long time ago, but I didn't have the courage. I let myself be swept away because I loved you so.
Darling.
No, wait, Tony. I want to make it clear to you. Listen, you're of a different world, a whole different kind of people. Oh, I don't mean money or socially. That's too silly. But your family and mine, it just wouldn't work, Tony. It just wouldn't work.
All right, have it your way. She can't dance. That's why they pay her all that money, because she can't dance.
Well, I don't call that dancing what she does. Oh, hello. How was the ballet?
It was fine, Essie.
Wonderful.
Hello there.
Hello.
Look, what do you people think? Ed and I just saw Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Do you think she can dance, Mr. Kirby?
Yes, I always thought so.
What's she do, anyhow? Now look, you're Fred Astaire and I'm Ginger Rogers.
Essie, please.
I only want to use him for a minute. Now look, Mr. Kirby.
Essie, you're just as good as Ginger Rogers. We all agree.
You see, Ed?
Yeah, come on, Essie, we're butting in here.
Oh, they've been together all evening. Good night, Mr. Kirby. Good night, Alice.
Good night, Mrs. Carmichael.
Good night. Essie, did you ask Grandpa about us having a baby?
Oh, yes. He said to go right ahead.
You see, Tony? That's what it would be like.
I didn't mind that. I mean, anyhow, we're not going to live with your family. It's just you and I.
No, it isn't. It's never quite that. I love them, Tony. I love them deeply. And some people could break away, but I couldn't. I know they do rather strange things, but they're gay and they're fun and I don't know. There's a kind of nobility about them.
Alice, you talk as though only you could understand them. That's not true. Why every family's got curious little traits. What of it? My father raises orchids at $10,000 a bulb. It's sensible. I mean, my mother believes in spiritualism. That's as bad as your mother writing plays, isn't it?
Oh, but it goes deeper, Tony. Your mother believes in spiritualism because it's fashionable, and your father raises orchids because he can't afford to. My mother writes plays because 8 years ago, a typewriter was delivered here by mistake.
Darling, what of it?
And look at Grandpa. 35 years ago, he just quit business one day. He started up to his office in an elevator and came right back down again. He just stopped. He could have been a rich man, but he said it took too much time. So for 35 years, he just collected snakes and gone to circuses and commencements, and it never occurs to any of them.
Hello there, children.
Oh, good evening, Mr. Vanerhof.
Hello, Grandpa.
How's the weather? Looks like a nice summer evening.
Yes, it's lovely, Grandpa.
Well, I'm off. Goodbye, Mr. Kirby. I've got a date with a policeman on the corner.
Policeman?
We've got a standing date, 12:30 every night. Known him since he was a little boy. He's really a doctor, but after he graduated, he came to me and he said he wanted to be a doctor. He said that he didn't want to be a doctor. He had always wanted to be a policeman, so I said, you go ahead and be a policeman, if that's what you want to be. And that's what he did. Hey, how do you like my new hat?
It's very nice, Mr. Vanerhof.
Yeah, I like it. The government gave it to me.
Oh, excuse me. I didn't know you folks was in here.
It's all right, Donald.
Rheba kind of fancied some candy and there it is. You all don't want it, do you?
No, Donald.
Thanks. Did you have a nice evening?
Yes, Donald.
Nice dinner?
Yes, Donald.
Was the ballet nice?
Yes, Donald.
That's nice.
Now do you see what I mean? Could you explain Donald to your father? Could you explain Grandpa? You couldn't, Tony. You couldn't. I love you, Tony, but I love them too. And it's no use, Tony. It's no use.
There is only one thing you said that matters, that makes any sense at all. You love me.
But Tony, I know so well.
But darling, don't you think other people have had the same problem? Everybody's got family.
But not like mine.
It doesn't stop people who love each other. Darling, why don't you trust me and go on loving me and just get everything else?
How can I?
Because nothing can keep us apart. You know that. You must know it. They want you to be happy, don't they? They must.
Oh, of course they do, but they can't change, Tony, and I wouldn't want them to change.
They won't have to change. They're charming, lovable people just as they are. Everything will work out. You're worrying about something that may never come up.
Oh, Tony, am I?
All that matters right now is that we love each other. That's so, isn't it?
Yes,
Well,
Tony. Oh, Tony.
yeah. I'd like to see a little gaiety around here. Gentlemen calling and getting engaged.
Well, what do I say?
First, to thank the young man for getting engaged to you.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kirby, for getting engaged to me.
And then you tell him what it was about him that first took your girlish heart.
The back of your head.
Huh?
Uh-huh. It wasn't your charm, and it wasn't your money. It was the back of your head. I just liked it.
What happened when I turned around?
I got used to it after a while.
Alice, think of it. Weren't we?
I know that I am. I'm the luckiest girl in the world.
Not exactly unlucky in myself. Oh dear, I guess I ought to Good night, darling. Until tomorrow.
Good night.
Oh, wonderful. We work in the same office. Otherwise, I'd be hanging around here all day.
Oh, won't it be funny in the office tomorrow, seeing each other and just going on as though nothing had happened?
Thank God I'm vice president. I dictate to you all day. Dear Miss Sycamore, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Oh, darling, you're such a fool.
Why don't you meet me in the drugstore in the morning before you go up to the office? I'll have millions of things to say to you.
All right.
Lunch, and then dinner.
Tony, what will people say?
Sometime. In fact, if you know a good housetop, I'd like to do a little shouting.
Yes, sir, Mr. DePinna. We did a good night's work.
That's what, 500 Black Panthers, 300 willow trees, and 8 dozen junior kitty bombers.
Pretty good. Oh, why, hello, Alice. You've just come in?
No, I've been home quite a while.
Have a nice evening.
I had a beautiful evening, Father.
Say, I'd like you to take a look at this new red fire. Will you turn out the lights, Mr. DePinna? I want Alice to get the full effect.
What, Father?
Take a look at this new red fire. It's beautiful. There, what do you think of it? Isn't it beautiful?
Yes. Oh, Father, everything's beautiful. It's the most beautiful red fire in the world.
She rushes to him and throws her arms about him, almost unable to bear her own happiness. Curtain. Act 2. As curtain rises, Grandpa is seated right of the table, Paul above the table, and a newcomer, Gay Willington, is seated left of the table. Penny stands with one of her scripts at left of table, and Ed is standing to the right of the table. Donald stands back of Gay Willington, holding tray of used dinner dishes. Gay is drinking as curtain rises. Ed stands right, holding a type stick.
All right, I said to him, you can take your old job.
I'm ready to read you the new play, Miss Wellington, anytime you are.
Just a minute, dearie. Just a minute.
The only thing is, and I hope you won't mind my mentioning this, but you don't drink when you're acting, do you, Miss Wellington? I'm just asking, of course.
Oh, no, I'm glad you brought it up. No, once the play opens, I never touch a drop. Minute I enter a stage door, that bottle gets put away until intermission.
You've been on the stage a long time, Miss Wellington.
Oh, yes, all my life. I've played everything. Oh, you ever see a Peg of My Heart?
Yes.
I saw it too. Good show. My, hot night, ain't it?
You want me to open the window, Mrs. Wellington?
No, hell with the weather. Say, he's cute.
She's just acting, Rheba. That's all. She don't mean anything.
Well, anytime you're ready, we'll go up to my room and start. I thought I'd read the play up in my room.
All right, dearie, I'm ready. When I see snakes, it's time to lay down.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. But those are real, Miss Willington. They're Grandpa's. Those are real. Oh dear. I hope she's not going to. Miss Willington.
She's out like a light.
Better let her sleep it off.
Rheba, Miss Willington just passed out.
Good.
Do you think she'll be all right?
Yes, but I wouldn't cast her in the religious play.
Well, I suppose I'll just have to wait.
Next time you meet an actress at the top of a bus, Penny, I think I'd send her the play instead of bringing her home to read it.
Ed, I wish you'd stop printing and take those love dreams around. You've got to get back in time to play for me when Kolenkhov comes.
Kolenkhov's coming tonight?
Yes, tomorrow night's his night, but I had to change it on account of Alice.
Oh, big doings around here tomorrow night, huh?
Isn't it exciting? You know, I'm so nervous. You'd think it was me he was engaged to instead of Alice.
What do you think they'll be like, his mother and father? Ed, what are you doing now?
Penny, did you see the new mask I made last night? Guess who it is?
Don't tell me now, Ed. Wait a minute. Helen of Troy.
It's Mrs. Roosevelt.
You know, the nice thing about these Meccano sets, you can make so many different things with them. Last week, it was the Empire State Building.
What is it this week?
Queen Mary.
Hasn't got the right hat on.
Oh, look, Mr. DePinna, would you open the door and see if there's a man standing in front of the house?
Why? What for?
Well, the last 2 days when I've been out delivering candy, I think a man's been following me.
Ed, you're crazy.
No, I'm not. He follows me, and he stands and watches the house.
No, I'll take a look and see.
I don't see what anybody would follow you for, Ed.
Well, there's a lot of kidnapping going on, Grandpa.
Yes, but not of Ed.
Well, did you see him?
There's nobody out there at all.
You're sure?
I'm positive. I just saw him walk away.
You see?
Oh, it might have been anybody walking along the street. Ed, will you hurry and get back?
Well, all right.
Want to go down, Mr. Sycamore, and finish packing up the fireworks?
Yeah, we've got to take the stuff up to Mount Vernon in the morning.
Mother, may I borrow some paper? I'm making out a list for Rheba tomorrow night.
Yes, dear. Here's some.
Why? What happened to your actress friend? Is she giving a performance?
No, she's not acting, Alice. She's really drunk.
Essie, dear, you're going to give Rheba the kitchen all day tomorrow, aren't you? Because she'll need it.
Of course, Alice. I'm going to start some love dreams now, so I'll be way ahead.
Thanks, dear. Look, Mother, I'm coming home at 3 o'clock tomorrow. Will you have everything down in the cellar by that time? The typewriter and the snakes and the xylophone and the printing press
and Miss Willington.
And Miss Willington. That'll give me time to arrange the table and fix the flowers.
The Kirbys are certainly going to get the wrong impression of this house.
Oh, you'll do all that, won't you, Mother?
Of course, dear.
And I think we better have cocktails ready by 7:15 in case they happen to come a little early. Oh, I wonder if I ought to let Rheba cook the dinner. Oh, what do you think, Grandpa?
Well, now, Alice, I wouldn't worry. From what I've seen of the boy, I'm sure the Kirbys are very nice people. And if everything isn't so elaborate tomorrow night, it's all right, too.
Oh, darling, I'm not trying to impress them or pretend that we're anything that we aren't. I just want everything to go off well.
No reason why it shouldn't, Alice.
We're all going to do everything we can to make it a nice party.
Oh, my darlings, I love you. You're the most wonderful family in the world, and I'm the happiest girl in the world, and I didn't know anyone could be so happy. Why, this past week has been like floating. Oh, he's so wonderful, Grandpa. Why, just seeing him, you don't even know what he does to me.
Just seeing him. Just seeing him for lunch and dinner. And then 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 9 o'clock next morning, you're at the office again, and there he is. Just seeing him, huh?
I don't care. I'm in love. Oh, Rheba.
Nice, isn't it? It's so nice to see her so happy.
Yes, I remember when I was engaged to Paul, how happy I was. And you know, I still feel that way.
I know. Nice the way Ed and Essie get along too, isn't it?
And Donald and Rheba, even though they're not married. Do you suppose Mr. DePinna will ever marry anyone, Grandpa?
Well, there is Miss Willington.
Oh dear, I wish she'd wake up. If we're going to read the play tonight.
Mrs. Sycamore, look what I found. Remember?
Why, of course, it's my painting of you as the discus thrower. Look, Grandpa.
I remember it. Say, you've gotten a little bald, haven't you, Mr. DePinna?
Is it very noticeable? Well, there's still some right here.
Well, it was a long time ago, just before I stopped painting. Let me see, that's 8 years.
Too bad you never finished it, Mrs. Sycamore.
I always meant to finish it, Mr. DePinna, but I just started to write a play one day, and that was that. I never painted again.
Just as well, too. I was going to have to strip next.
My goodness. Who would have thought the day I came to deliver the ice that I was going to stay here for 8 years?
The milkman was here for 5 years, just ahead of you.
Say, why did he leave anyhow? I forgot.
He didn't leave. He died.
Oh, yeah.
He was such a nice man. Remember the funeral, Grandpa? We never knew his name, and it was kind of hard to get a certificate.
Well, what's the name we finally made up for him?
Martin Vanerhof. We gave him your name.
Oh, yes, I remember.
It was a lovely thought, because otherwise he never would have gotten all those flowers.
Oh, certainly was. And it didn't hurt me any. Not bothered with mail anymore, and I haven't had a telephone call from that day to this.
Yes, it really was a wonderful idea.
I wish you'd finish that sometime, Mrs. Sycamore. I'd kind of like to have it.
You know what, Mr. DePinna? I think I'll do some work on it right tonight.
Say, will you?
I don't think she's going to wake up anyhow. Look, Mr. DePinna, you go down into the cellar and put on your costume and bring up the easel. Is it still down there?
I think so.
Now, where did I put my palette and brushes?
Rebishka, my little Rebishka.
Muted.
Yes, sir, Mr. Kolenkhov.
Hello, Mr. Kolenkhov. Essie's in the kitchen.
Madam Sycamore, I greet you. Tell me, Grandpa, what should I do about Rebishka? I keep telling her she would make a great toe dancer, but she laughs only.
No, sir, I can't get up on my toes, Mr. Kolenkov. I got corns.
Rebishka, you could wear diamonds. A great girl, Grandpa. What is that?
It's a picture of Mr. DePinna. Penny painted it.
It stinks.
I know. How do you like that?
What is that?
She's an actress friend of Penny's.
She is drunk, no?
She's drunk, yes. How are you, Kolenkhov?
Magnificent. Life is chasing around inside of me like a squirrel.
'Tis, huh? What's new in Russia? Any more letters from your friends at Moscow?
I have just heard from him. I saved for you the stamp.
Oh, thanks, Kolenkhov.
They have sent him to Siberia.
They have, huh? But how does he like it?
He has escaped. He has escaped and gone back to Moscow. He will get them yet if they do not get him. The Soviet government. I would take the whole Soviet government and go.
I'm sorry I'm late, Mr. Kolenkhov. I'll get into my dancing clothes right away.
Tonight you will really work, Pavlova. Tonight we will take something new.
Is Essie making any progress, Kolenkhov?
Confidentially, she stinks.
Well, as long as she's having fun.
You sure do tickle, Rheba. Mr. Kolenkhov, she's laughing her head off out there.
She is a great woman. Donald, what do you think of the Soviet government?
The what, Mr. Kolenkhov?
I withdraw the question. What do you think of this government?
Oh, well, I like fine. I'm on relief, you know.
Oh, yes. And you like it?
Yes, sir. It's fine. Only thing is, you gotta go around to the place every week to get it, and sometimes you gotta stand in line pretty near half an hour. Government ought to be run better than that. Don't you think, Grandpa?
Government ought to stop sending me letters. Want me to be at the United States Marshal's office Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. Look at that.
Ah, income tax. They've got you, Grandpa.
I'm supposed to give him a lot of money so as to keep Donald on relief.
You don't say, Grandpa. You gonna pay it from now on?
That's what they want.
You mean I can come right here and get it instead of standing in that line?
No, Donald. I'm afraid you will have to waste a full half hour of your time every week.
Well, I don't like it. It breaks up my week.
He should have been in Russia when the revolution came. Then he would have stood in line, a bread line. Ah, Grandpa, what they have done to Russia, think of it. The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina, a cousin of the Tsar, she is a waitress at Child's restaurant. I ordered baked beans from her only yesterday. It broke my heart. A crazy world, Grandpa.
The world's not so crazy, Kolenkhov. It's the people in it. Life's pretty simple if you just relax.
How can you relax in times like these?
Well, if they'd relax, there wouldn't be times like these. That's just my point. Life is kind of beautiful if you let it come to you. But the trouble is, people forget that. I know I did. I was right in the thick of it, fighting and scratching and clawing, a regular jungle. One day, it just kind of struck me. I wasn't having any fun.
So you did what?
I just relaxed. 35 years ago that was, and I've been a happy man ever since.
Good evening, Mr. Kolenkhov.
Miss Alice, I have not seen you to present my congratulations.
Thank you.
May you be very happy and have many children. This is my prayer for you.
Oh, that's quite a thought.
Ah, love. Love is all that is left in this world, Grandpa.
Yes, but there is plenty of that.
And soon Stalin will take that away too, I tell you, Grandpa.
Seems so nice to get into my art things again. They still look all right, don't they, Grandpa?
Yes, indeed.
You are a breath of Paris, Madame Sycamore.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Kolenkhov.
I didn't know he was working for the WPA.
Oh, no, Donald. You see, I used to paint all the time.
I'm happy that you're drunk. Gay. I'm high.
It happened again! There was a fella following me every place I went.
Nonsense, Ed. It's just your imagination.
No, it isn't. It happens every time I go out to deliver candy.
Maybe he wants a piece of candy.
It's all right for you to laugh, Grandpa, but he keeps following me.
You do not know what following is. In Russia, everybody is followed. I was followed right out of Russia.
Of course. You see, Ed, the whole thing is just imagination.
Well, maybe.
Ah, here we are.
Where do you want this? Over there?
Put it here, Mr. de Pinna.
Ed, for tonight's lesson, we use the first movement of Scheherazade.
Okay.
Mr. DePinna, has something happened to your figure during these 8 years?
No, I don't think it's any different.
Yes, Miss Willington? Yes?
Mhm.
Oh, dear.
Sorry, Mr. Kolenkhov. I couldn't find my slippers.
We have a hot night for it, my Pavlova. But art is only achieved through perspiration.
Why, that's wonderful, Mr. Kolenkhov. Did you hear that, Grandpa? Art is only achieved through perspiration.
Yes, but it helps if you've got a little talent with it. I only made 2 bullseyes last night. I got to do better than that.
You are ready? We begin. Now, pirouette, pirouette. Come. You can do that. It's 8 years now. At last, entre-jacques. No, Grandpa, you cannot relax with Stalin in Russia. The Tsar relaxed, and what happened to him?
He was too late.
Mr. Kolenkhov! Mr. Kolenkhov!
If he had not relaxed, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina would not be selling baked beans today.
Mr. Kolenkhov!
I'm sorry. We go back to the pirouette.
Could you pull in your stomach, Mr. DePinna? That's right.
A little freer with the hands. The whole body must work, Ed. Help us with the music. The music must be free, too.
Mrs. Sycamore. Mrs. Sycamore?
What, Rheba?
Good evening.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Oh, are we too early?
No. Come right in. It's perfectly all right. We're glad to see you.
Why, yes. Only we thought it was to be tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night?
Now, it's perfect.
What?
It's perfectly all right. Just make yourselves at home.
But Tony, how could you possibly have done this?
I don't know. I thought that...
Really, Tony? This is most embarrassing.
Not at all. Why, we weren't doing a thing.
No, just a quiet evening at home.
That's all. And now, don't let it bother you. This is Alice's mother, Mrs. Sycamore.
How do you do?
Alice's sister, Mrs. Carmichael, Mr. Carmichael, Mr. Kolenkhov, and Mr. DePinna.
How do you do?
Don't mind my costume. I'll take it right off.
Mr. DePinna, would you tell Mr. Sycamore to come right up? Tell him that Mr. and Mrs. Kirby are here.
And be sure to put his pants on.
All right. Excuse me.
Thank you.
I'll tell Alice that you're... Alice, dear. Alice, would you come down, dear? We've got a surprise for you. Well.
Mrs. Kirby, may I take your wrap?
Oh, well, thank you. If you're perfectly sure that we're not...
Oh, don't be alarmed, Mrs. Kirby. They're perfectly harmless.
Thank you.
Ed, take them into the kitchen.
Of course, we're so used to them around the house.
I'm sorry to trouble you. Snakes happen to be.
I feel very uncomfortable about this. Tony, how could you have done such a thing?
I'm sorry, Dad. I thought it was tonight.
It was very careless of you. Very.
Oh, now anybody can get mixed up, Mr. Kirby.
Penny, how about some dinner for these folks? They've come for dinner, you know.
Oh, please don't bother. We're really not hungry at all.
But it's not a bit of a bother. Ed, tell Donald to run to the A&P and get a half dozen bottles of beer and some canned salmon. Do you like canned salmon, Mr. Kirby?
Please don't trouble Mrs. Sycamore. I have a little indigestion anyway.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, how about you, Mrs. Kirby? Do you like canned salmon?
Oh, I'm very fond of it.
Well, you could have frankfurters if you'd rather.
Either one will do.
Well, make it frankfurters and some canned corn and Campbell's soup. Got that, Ed?
Okay.
And tell them to hurry. The A&P is just at the corner, and frankfurters don't take any time to boil.
And this is Alice's father, Mr. Sycamore, Mr. and Mrs. Kirby.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I hope you'll forgive my appearance.
This is Mr. Sycamore's busiest time of the year. Just before the 4th of July, he always...
Darling, I'm the most dull-witted person in the world. I thought it was tonight.
Why, Tony, I thought you... I thought we were having this tomorrow. I thought... Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't imagine why I wasn't... Have you all met each other?
Yes, indeed.
How do you do, Alice?
Well, how do you do, Mrs. Kirby? I'm afraid I'm not very presentable.
Oh, then you look lovely.
Of course she does. Don't let this upset you, my dear. We've all just met each other a night sooner, that's all.
Of course.
Oh, but I was planning such a nice party tomorrow night.
Well, we'll come again tomorrow night.
So, there you are, Alice. Am I forgiven?
I guess so. It's just that well, we better see about getting you some dinner.
Oh, that's all done, Alice. That's all been attended to.
But Mother, what did you send out for? Because Mr. Kirby suffers from indigestion and he can only eat certain things.
Oh, it's all right. It's all right.
Of course it is, darling.
I asked him what he wanted, Alice.
Yes, but...
Now. It's not as serious as all that, just because I have a little indigestion.
Perhaps it is not indigestion at all, Mr. Kirby. Perhaps you have stomach ulcers.
Don't be absurd, Mr. Kolenkhov.
You mustn't mind Mr. Kolenkhov, Mr. Kirby. He's a Russian, and Russians are inclined to look a little on the dark side.
All right, I am a Russian. But a friend of mine, a Russian, died from stomach ulcers.
Really?
Please, Mr. Kolenkhov, Mr. Kirby has indigestion, and that's all.
All right, let him wait.
Do sit down, Mr. Kirby. Make yourself comfortable.
Thank you.
Well...
Tell me, Mr. Kirby, how do you find business conditions? Are we pretty well out of the Depression?
What? Yes, I think so. Of course, it all depends.
But you figure that things are going to keep on improving.
Broadly speaking, yes. As a matter of fact, industry is now operating at 64% of full capacity, as against 82% in 1925. Of course, in 1929...
My body lies over the ocean. Hi there.
That may seem a little strange to you people, but she's not quite accountable for her actions. A friend of Mrs. Sycamore's, she came to dinner and was overcome by the heat.
Yes, some people feel it, more than others. Perhaps I'd better see if she's all right. Excuse me, please.
It is awfully hot. You usually escape all this hot weather, don't you, Mrs. Kirby, up in Maine?
As a rule. I had to come down this week, however, for the flower show.
Mother wouldn't miss that for the world. That blue ribbon is the high spot of her year.
I won a ribbon at a flower show once for raising onions. Remember, Alice?
That was a garden show, Essie.
Oh, yes.
I think she'll be all right now. Has Donald come back yet?
No, he hasn't.
Well, he'll be right back, and it won't take any time at all. I'm afraid you must be starved.
Oh, no, quite all right. Hello, what's this? I didn't know there were little children in the house.
Oh, no, that's mine.
Really? Well, I suppose every man has his hobby, or do you use this as a model of some kind?
No, I just play with it.
I see.
Maybe you'd be better off if you had a hobby like that, Dad, instead of raising orchids.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised.
Oh, do tell us about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. You know, they take 6 years before they blossom, don't they? Think of that.
Oh, some of them take longer than that. I've got one coming along now that I've waited 10 years for.
Oh, believe it or not, I was waiting for an orchid.
Yes. Of course, during that time, they require the most scrupulous care. I remember a bulb that I was very fond of.
Donald!
Ah, here we are. Did you get everything, Donald?
Yes, only they didn't have any frankfurters, so I got pickled pig's feet.
Never mind, Donald. Just bring everything into the kitchen. Mr. Kirby, please tell them all about the orchids. I know they just love to hear it. And excuse me.
It's a kind of an expensive hobby, isn't it, Mr. Kirby? Raising orchids?
Yes, it is. But I feel that if a hobby gives one sufficient pleasure, it's never expensive.
Oh, that's very true.
You see, I need something to relieve the daily nerve strain. After a week in Wall Street, I'd go crazy if I didn't have something like that. Lots of men I know have yachts just for that very reason.
Why don't they give up Wall Street?
How's that?
No, I was just joking.
I think it's necessary for everyone to have a hobby. Of course, it's more to me than a hobby, but my great solace is spiritualism.
Spiritualism? Now, Mrs. Kirby, everyone knows that's a fake.
To me, Mrs. Sycamore, spiritualism is, well, I'd rather not discuss it, Mrs.
Remember, Penny, you've got 1 or 2 hobbies of your own.
Well, yes, but not silly ones.
I don't think it matters what the hobby is. The important thing is just to have one.
To be ideal, a hobby should improve the body as well as the mind. The Romans were a great people. What was their hobby? Wrestling. In wrestling, you have to think quick with the mind and act quick with the body.
Yes, but I'm afraid wrestling is not very practical for most of us. I wouldn't make a very good showing as a wrestler.
You could be a great wrestler. You are built for it. Look.
Mr. Kirby, are you hurt?
Are you all right, Father?
Where are my glasses?
Here they are, Mr. Kirby. Oh, Mr. Kirby, they're broken.
Oh, I am sorry, but when you wrestle again, Mr. Kirby, you'll of course not wear glasses.
I do not intend to wrestle again, Mr. Kolenkhov.
Better sit down, Father.
Yeah.
Mr. Kolenkhov, how could you do such a thing? Why didn't somebody stop him?
I think, if you don't mind, perhaps we'd better be going.
Mother!
Oh, Mrs. Kirby, please. Please don't go. Mr. Kirby, please. I've ordered some scrambled eggs for you and plain salad. And please don't go.
I am sorry if I did something wrong, and I apologize.
And I can't tell you how sorry I am, Mr. Kirby, if I had been here.
That's quite all right.
Of course it is. It's all right, Alice. We're not going.
It's me, right? Well, that was exciting for a minute, wasn't it?
You were talking about your orchids, Mr. Kirby. Do you raise many different varieties?
I'm afraid I've quite forgotten about my orchids.
I'm awfully sorry, Mr. Kirby.
What did I do that was so terrible? I threw him on the floor. Did it kill him?
Please, Mr. Kolenkhov.
I'm sure dinner won't be any time at all now.
Would you like some candy while you're waiting, Mr. Kirby? I've got some freshly made.
My doctor does not permit me to eat candy. Thank you.
Oh, but these are nothing, Mr. Kirby, just coconut and marshmallow and fudge.
Don't, Essie.
Well,
Miss Alice. Miss Alice.
Excuse me. What is it, Rheba?
The eggs. They done fell down the sink.
We'll make some more. Quick.
I ain't got any.
Oh, send Donald out for some.
All right.
Tell him to hurry. I'm so sorry. There'll be a little delay, but everything will be ready in just a minute. Whoosh.
I've certainly put you people to a lot of trouble with my stupidity.
Not at all, Tony.
Look, why don't we all play a game of some sort while we're waiting?
Oh, that'd be fine.
Mother, I don't think Mr. and Mrs. Kirby would want to play.
I have an idea. I know a wonderful trick with a glass of water.
No, Mr. Kolenkhov.
No, Mr. Kolenkhov.
I'm sure Mr. and Mrs. Kirby would love this game. It's perfectly harmless.
Please, Mother.
I'm not very good at games, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, but any fool could play this game, Mr. Kirby. All you do is write your name on a piece of paper.
Oh, but Mother, Mr. Kirby doesn't want
Oh,
to
he'll
break
love it. He'll love it. Here you are, Mr. Kirby. Write your name on this piece of paper. And Mrs. Kirby, you do the same on this one.
Mother, what is this game?
I used to play it at school. It's called Forget Me Not. Here you are, Grandpa. Now I'm going to call out 5 words, just anything at all. And as I say each word, you're going to put down the first thing that comes to your mind. Is that clear? For instance, if I say grass, you might put down green. Just whatever you think of, see? Or if I call out chair, you might put down table. It shows the reactions people have to different things. You see how simple it is, Mr. Kirby?
Oh, come on, Father, be a sport.
Very well. I shall be happy to play it.
You see, Alice, he does want to play.
Well...
Now then, are we ready?
Ready!
Now remember, you must play fair. Put down the first thing that comes into your mind.
I understand.
Everybody ready? The first word is potatoes. Potatoes. Ready for the next one? Bathroom.
Mother!
Bathroom. Got that?
Go ahead.
All ready? Lust.
Mother, this is not exactly what you had.
Nonsense, Alice. That word's all right.
Mother, it's not all right.
Oh, I don't know. Seems to me it's a perfectly fair word.
You see? Now you mustn't interrupt the game.
May I have that last word again, please?
Lust, Mr. Kirby.
I've got it.
This is quite a game, isn't it?
Grandpa. All ready? Honeymoon. Now, Essie. All right. The last word is sex.
Mother!
Everybody got sex? All right. Now give me all the papers. May I have your paper, Mr. Kirby?
And what happens now?
No, this is the best part. Now I read out your reactions.
I see. But it's really quite an interesting game.
I knew you'd like it. I'll read your paper first, Mr. Kirby. I'm going to read Mr. Kirby's paper first. Listen, everybody. This is Mr. Kirby. Potatoes, steak. That's very good. See how they go together, steak and potatoes?
I just happened to think of it.
It's very good. Bathroom, toothpaste. Well, lust, unlawful. Isn't that nice? Honeymoon, trip. Yes. And sex, male. Oh, yes, of course, you are. That's really a wonderful paper, Mr. Kirby.
Well, thank you. It's more than just a game, you know. It's sort of an experiment in psychology, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It shows just how your mind works. Now we'll see how Mrs. Kirby's mind works. Ready? This is Mrs. Kirby. Potatoes, starch. I know just what you mean, Mrs. Kirby. Oh dear. Bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
What's that?
Bathroom, Mr. Kirby.
But I don't quite follow that, my dear.
I don't know. I just thought of you in connection with it. After all, you are in there a good deal, Anthony. Bathing and shaving. Well, you do take a long time.
Indeed. But I hadn't realized that I was being selfish in the matter. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore.
Oh, I think that this is a very silly game and we ought to stop.
Yes.
No, please. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore.
Where was I? Oh, yes. Lust, human.
Human? Really? Miriam?
I just meant, Anthony, that lust is, after all, a human emotion.
I don't agree with you, Miriam. Lust is not a human emotion. It is depraved.
Very well, Anthony. I'm wrong.
Really, it's the most pointless game. Suppose we play 20 questions.
Yes.
No, I find this game rather interesting. Will you go on, Mrs. Sycamore? What was the next word?
Honeymoon?
Oh, yes. And what was Mrs. Kirby's answer?
Oh, honeymoon, dull.
Did you say dull?
What I meant, Anthony, was that Hot Springs was not very gay that season. All those old people sitting on the porch all afternoon and nothing to do at night.
That was not your reaction at the time, as I recall it.
Father, this is only a game.
A very illuminating game. Go on, Mrs. Sycamore.
This one's all right, Mr. Kirby. Sex, Wall Street.
Wall Street. What do you mean by that, Miriam?
I don't know what I meant, Anthony. Nothing.
But you must have meant something, Miriam, or you wouldn't have put it down.
It was just the first thing that came into my head, that's all.
But what does it mean? Sex, Wall Street.
I don't know what it means, Anthony. It's just that you're always talking about Wall Street, even when we're... I don't know what I meant. Would you mind terribly, Alice, if we didn't stay for dinner? I'm afraid this game has given me a headache.
I understand, Mrs. Kirby.
Yes, possibly we'd better postpone the dinner if you don't mind.
But you're coming tomorrow night, aren't you?
I'm afraid we have an engagement tomorrow night.
Perhaps we'd better postpone the whole affair a little while. The hot weather and...
I think we're being very ungracious, Father.
I have a very...
Stay for dinner.
Very bad headache, Tony.
Come, Tony. I'm sure everyone understands.
Well, I don't. I think we ought to stay.
No, Tony.
What?
We were fools, Tony, ever to think it would work. It won't. Mr. Kirby, I won't be at the office tomorrow. I won't be there at all anymore.
Alice, what are you talking about?
I'm sorry, my dear. Very sorry. Are you ready, Miriam?
Yes, Anthony.
Darling, you mustn't mind this.
Oh, it's been very nice to have met you all.
Yes, lovely.
Are you coming, Tony?
No, Father, I'm not.
I see. Your mother and I will be waiting for you at home. Good night.
Stay right where you are, everybody.
Oh, good heavens!
How dare you? What does this mean?
What is all of this?
I demand an explanation.
Keep your mouth shut, you. Okay, so which one is it? This is him.
What are you doing? What do you mean?
Grandpa, what is this?
This is an outrage.
Shut up. What's your name?
Edward Carmichael, I haven't done anything.
You haven't, huh?
Seems rather high-handed to me. What's it all about?
Department of Justice.
Oh my goodness! J-Men!
Ed, what have you done?
I haven't done anything.
What's the boy done, officer?
What is it? What is it all about?
That door lead to the cellar?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Mac? Jim? Yes, sir? Take a look upstairs and see what you find. Okay.
I haven't done anything.
Come here, you. Ever seen these before?
They're like circulars.
You print this stuff, huh?
Yes, sir.
And you put them in the boxes of candy and get them into people's homes.
The love dreams.
But I didn't mean anything.
You didn't, huh? Dynamite the Capitol. Dynamite the White House. Dynamite the Supreme Court. God is the state is God.
But I didn't mean that. I just like to print. Don't I, Grandpa?
Now, officer, the government's in no danger from Ed. Printing is just his hobby, that's all. He prints anything.
He does, eh?
I never heard of such nonsense.
I refuse to stay here and be...
Hey, let me get to my pipe, will you? Let me get to my pipe.
Shut up, you. We were right, Chief. They've got enough gunpowder down there to blow up the whole city.
But we only use that to...
Keep still. Everybody in this house is under arrest.
What's that?
Oh, good heavens.
Now, look here, officer, this is all nonsense.
You better let me get my pipe. I left it right next to
Shut up, all of you.
Seems to me, officer.
Shut up. Keep Keep still, you. Stop that. Stop it. Who is that?
That's
the fireworks. The fireworks.
Are the beautiful sea.
Rheba?
Donald!
Thank you.
Miriam, are you all right? Are you all right?
It's all right, Mother. There's no danger.
Grandpa!
Well.
Let go of me. I've got to go down there.
Good Lord.
My manuscripts! I've got to save my manuscripts!
My xylophone! How will I get the xylophone out?
Don't worry. Do not worry.
It's all right, Rheba. It's all right.
Line up, you people. Line up, all of you.
And curtain. Act 3. The following day, Rheba is in the midst of setting table for dinner, pausing occasionally in her labors to listen to the Edwin C. Hill of the moment, Donald. With intense interest and concentration, he is reading aloud from a newspaper.
For appearance in the West Side Court this morning, after spending the night in jail, the defendants, 13 in all were brought before Judge Callahan and given suspended sentences for manufacturing fireworks without a permit.
Yeah, kept me in the same cell with a strip teaser from a burlesque show.
I was in the cell with Mr. Kirby. He was mad.
Mrs. Kirby and the strip teaser. They were fighting all night.
A whole lot about Mr. Kirby here. Anthony W. Kirby, head of Kirby & Co., 62 Wall Street, who was among those apprehended, declared he was in no way interested in the manufacture of fireworks, but refused to state why he was on the premises at the time of the raid. Mr. Kirby is a member of the Union Club, Racket Club, the Harvard Club, and the National Geographic Society. He certainly is a joiner.
All them rich men are elks or something.
I suppose after all this, Mr. Tony ain't ever gonna marry Miss Alice, huh?
No, sir, it's too bad, too. Miss Alice sure loves that boy.
Ever notice how rich folks are always getting themselves in trouble?
Yes, and I'm glad I'm poor.
Me too.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with all that food out in the kitchen. Ain't gonna be no party tonight, that's sure.
Oh, wait, ain't we gonna eat it anyhow?
Oh, well, I'm cooking it, but I don't think anybody's gonna have an appetite.
I'm hungry.
Well, they ain't. They're also broke up about Miss Alice.
What's she want to go away for? I mean, where's she going?
Oh, I don't know, mountains someplace, and she's going all right, no matter what they say. I know Miss Alice when she gets that look in her eye.
Too bad, ain't it?
It sure is.
Not even a balloon left. Look.
All right, how's your hand, Mr. DePinna? Better?
Oh, yeah, it's better. Is there some more olive oil out there?
It's a salad bowl.
Oh, thanks.
Well, she's going. Nothing anybody said could change her.
She's not going to stay away long, is she, Mrs. Sycamore?
I don't know, Rheba. She won't say.
Going to be lonesome around here without her.
How you feel, Mrs. Sycamore?
Oh, I'm all right, Donald. I'm just kind of upset. Maybe if I do some work, maybe I'll feel better.
Well, I won't bother you then, Mrs. Sycamore.
She's going, Penny.
Yes.
Now, Penny.
I can't help it, Paul. Sometimes I feel like it's our fault.
No, it's mine more than yours, Penny. All these years, I've just been going along, enjoying myself, when maybe I should have been thinking more about Alice.
Don't say that, Paul. You've been a wonderful father and husband, too.
No, I haven't. Maybe if I'd gone ahead and been an architect, I don't know, something Alice could have been proud of. I mean, I felt that all last night looking at Mr. Kirby.
But we've been so happy, Paul.
I know, but maybe that's not enough. I used to think it was, but I'm kind of all mixed up now.
What time is she going?
Pretty soon, train leaves at 7:30.
If only she'd see Tony. I'm sure he could persuade her.
But she won't, Penny. He's been trying all day.
Where is he now?
I don't know. I suppose walking around the block again. Anyhow, she won't talk to him.
Maybe Tony can catch her as she's leaving.
It won't help, Penny.
No, I don't suppose so. I feel so sorry for Tony, too. Well, Grandpa?
Now, Penny, let the girl alone.
But Grandpa.
Suppose she goes to the Adirondacks. She'll be back. You can take just so much Adirondacks and then you come home.
Oh, but it's all so terrible, Grandpa.
In a way, but it has its bright side too.
How do you mean?
Well, Mr. Kirby getting into the patrol wagon, for one thing, and the expression on his face when he and Donald had to take a bath together. I'll never forget that if I live to be 100. And I warn you people, I intend to, if I can have things like that going on.
Oh, it was even worse with Mrs. Kirby. When the matron stripped her, there was a burlesque dancer there, and she kept singing a strip song while Mrs. Kirby undressed.
I'll bet you Bar Harbor's going to seem pretty dull to the Kirbys this summer. Need any help, Alice?
No thanks, Grandpa. I'm just going to press these.
Alice, dear?
No, Penny.
I'll bring the big bag down as soon as you're ready, Alice.
Thank you.
You want to take some candy along for the train, Alice?
No thanks, Essie.
Really, Alice, you could be just as alone here as you could in the mountains. You could stay right in your room all the time.
No, Mother, I want to be by myself, away from everybody. I love you all. You know that, but I just have to go away for a while. I'll be all right. Father, did you ring for that cab?
No, I didn't know you wanted one.
I told Mr. Pinna to tell you, Paul. Didn't he tell you?
He told me, but I forgot.
Oh, I wish I lived in a family that didn't always forget everything. That behaved the way the other people's families do. I'm sick of cornflakes and Donald and everything. Why can't we be just like other people? Roast beef and 2 green vegetables and doilies on the table and a place that you could bring your friends to without...
See if I can do anything.
Tony, talk to her. She's in the kitchen.
Thanks. Alice, won't you listen to me, but please?
Tony, it's no use.
Alex, you're not being fair. At least let me talk to you.
Where'd they go?
Upstairs.
She walked right out the minute he came in.
Knock the olive oil right out of my hand. I'm gonna smell kind of fishy.
How are you feeling, Mr. DePinna? And still hurting you?
No. It's better.
Everything burnt up, huh? Downstairs?
Everything. And my Roman costume, too.
I told you there was a bright side to everything. All except my 23 years back income tax. I got another letter every day.
Say, what are you going to do about that, Grandpa?
Well, I had a kind of idea yesterday. It may not work, but I'm trying it anyhow.
What is it?
Good evening, everybody.
Hi, Mr. Kolenkhov.
Hello, Kolenkhov.
Forgive me, the door was open.
Well, come on in.
You excuse my coming today. I realize you are upset.
That's all right, Mr. Kolenkhov.
I don't think I can take a lesson, Mr. Kolenkhov. I don't feel up to it.
Well,
Oh, but do stay to dinner, Mr. Kolenkhov. We've got all that food here, and somebody's got to eat it.
I will be happy to, Madam Sycamore.
Fine.
Thank you. Now, I wonder if I know you well enough to ask you a great favor.
Why, of course, Mr. Kolenkhov. What is it?
You have heard of me talk about my friend, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. She is a great woman, the Grand Duchess. Her cousin was the Tsar of Russia, and today she's waitress in Child's Restaurant, Times Square.
Yes, I know. If there's anything at all that we can do, Mr. Kolenkhov.
I tell you, the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina has not a good meal since before the revolution.
Well, she must be hungry.
And today, the Grand Duchess not only has her day off, Thursday, but it is also the anniversary of Peter the Great, a remarkable man.
Mr. Kolenkhov, if you mean you'd like to have the Grand Duchess come to dinner, why, we'd be honored.
Oh, yes.
In the name of the Grand Duchess, I thank you.
I can hardly wait to meet her. Where is she now?
She's outside in the street waiting. I bring her in.
Ed, straighten your tie. Essie, your dress. How do I look? Do I look all right?
You know, if this keeps on, I want to live to be 150.
The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. Your Highness, permit me to present Madame Sycamore, Madame Carmichael, Grandpa,
Madam,
Mr. Carmichael, Mr. Sycamore, and Mr. de Pinna.
All right now, Mr. de Pinna.
Will you be seated, Your Highness?
Thank you. You are most kind.
We are honored to receive you, Your Highness.
I am most happy to be here. How soon is dinner?
Oh, it'll be quite soon, Your Highness. Very, very soon.
I do not mean to be rude, but I must be back at the restaurant at 8 o'clock. I am substituting for another waitress.
I will make sure you are on time, Your Highness.
Thank you, Kolenkhov.
Oh, you know, Highness, I think you've waited on me in Childs once, the 72nd Street place.
No, that was my sister.
The Grand Duchess Natasha.
I work in Times Square.
Oh.
Quite a lot of your folks living over here now, aren't there?
Oh, yes, many. My uncle, the Grand Duke Sergei, he is an elevator man at Macy's. A very nice man. Then there is my cousin, Prince Alexei. He will not speak to the rest of us because he works at Hattie Carnegie. He is in ladies' underwear.
When he was selling hot dogs at Coney Island, he was willing to talk to you.
Kolenkhov, our time is coming. My sister Natasha is studying to be a manicurist. Uncle Sergei, they have promised to make floor walker. And next month I get transferred to the Fifth Avenue Childs. From there, it is only a step to Schraff's, and then we will see what Prince Alexei says.
I think you've got him.
You're telling me.
Your Highness, did you know the Tsar? Personally, I mean?
Of course. He was my cousin. It was terrible what happened, but perhaps it was for the best. Where he could get a job now.
Pravda, that is true.
And poor relations are poor relations. It is the same in every family. My cousin, the King of Sweden, he was very nice to us for about 10 years. Every once in a while he would send a money order, but then he said, I just cannot go on. I am not doing so well myself. I do not blame him.
No, of course not. Would you excuse me for just a moment?
Tell me, Grand Duchess, is it true what they say about Rasputin?
Everyone wants to know about Rasputin. Yes, my dear sir, it is true. And how?
You don't say.
Your Highness, we have to watch the time.
Yes, I must not be late. The manager does not like me. He is a communist.
We'll hurry things up. Essie, why don't you go out into the kitchen and see if you can help Rheba?
I will help too. I am a very good cook.
Oh, but Your Highness, not on your day off.
I do not mind. Where is your kitchen? Where's your kitchen?
It's right through there, but you're the guest of honor, Your Highness.
But I love to cook. Come, Kolenkhov. If they've got sour cream and butt cheese, I will make you some blintzes.
Blintzes. Come, Pavlova. We show you something.
Say, the Duchess is all right, isn't she? Hey, Duchess, can I help?
She's got a wonderful face for a mask, hasn't she?
Really, she's a very nice woman, you know, considering she's a Grand Duchess.
Wonderful what some people go through, isn't it? And still keep kind of gay, too.
She made me forget about everything for a minute.
I'd better call that cab, I suppose.
No, wait, Paul. Here they are. Maybe Tony has convinced her.
Ed, will you go up and bring my bag down?
Don't you do it, Ed.
Ed, please.
All right, Ed. Bring it down. You know you've got the stubbornest daughter in all 48 states.
That must be the cab.
It is. It's certainly wonderful service.
Is Tony here, Alice?
Yes? Yes, he is. Come in, Mr. Kirby.
What do you do?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Forgive my intruding. Tony, I want you to come home with me. Your mother is very upset.
Very well, Father. Goodbye, Alice.
Goodbye, Tony.
But I need hardly to say this is as painful to Mrs. Kirby and myself as it is to you people. I'm sorry, but I'm sure you understand.
Well, yes. And in a way, no. Now, I'm not the kind of person who tries to run other people's lives. But the fact is, Mr. Kirby, I don't think these two young people have got as much sense as you and I have.
Grandpa, will you please not do this?
I'm just talking to Mr. Kirby. A cat can look at a king, can't he?
You want me to do that for you, Alice?
No, thanks, Mother.
You've got quite a while before the train goes, Alice.
Hello, will you send a cab to 761 Claremont right away, please? That's right. Thank you.
Alice!
Father.
Are you ready, Tony?
Mr. Kirby, I suppose after last night you think this family is, well, kind of crazy.
No, I would not say that. Although I'm not accustomed to going out to dinner and spending the night in jail.
Well, you've got to remember, Mr. Kirby, you came on the wrong night. Now tonight, I'll bet you nothing at all will happen. Maybe.
Mr. Vanderhof, it was not merely last night that convinced Mrs. Kirby and myself that this engagement would be unwise.
Father, I can handle my own affairs. Alice, for the last time, will you marry me?
No. Tony, I know exactly what your father means, and he's right.
No, he's not, Alice.
Alice, you're in love with this boy, and you're not marrying him because we're the kind of people we are.
Grandpa.
I know. You think the two families wouldn't get along. Well, maybe they wouldn't. But who says that they're right and we're wrong?
I didn't say that, Grandpa. I only feel
Well,
that...
what I feel is that Tony's too nice a boy to wake up 20 years from now with nothing in his life but stocks and bonds.
How's that?
Yes, mixed up and unhappy the way you are.
I beg your pardon, Mr. Vanderhof. I am a very happy man.
Are you?
Certainly I am.
I don't think so. What do you think you get your indigestion from? Happiness? No, sir. You get it most because most of the time is spent in doing things you don't want to do.
I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Oh, yes, you do. You said last night that at the end of the week in Wall Street, you're pretty near crazy. Now, why do you keep on doing it?
Why do I keep on? Why? That's my business. A man can't give up his business.
Why not? You've got all the money you need. You can't take it with you.
That's a very easy thing to say, Mr. Vanderhof. But I have spent my entire life building up my business.
And what has it got you? Same kind of mail every morning, same kind of deals, same kind of meetings, same dinners at night, same indigestion. Where does the fun come in? Don't you think there ought to be something more, Mr. Kirby? You must have wanted more than that when you started out. We haven't got too much time, you know, any of us.
What do you expect me to do? Live the way you do? Do nothing?
Well, I have a lot of fun. Time enough for everything. read, talk, visit the zoo now and then, practice my darts. I even have time to notice when spring comes around. Don't see anybody I don't want to. Don't have 6 hours of things I have to do every day before I get 1 hour to do what I like in. And I haven't taken bicarbonate of soda in 35 years. Now, what's the matter with that?
The matter with that? Suppose we all did it. A fine world we'd have, everyone going to zoos. Don't be ridiculous, Mr. Vanderhof. Who would do the work?
There's always people that like to work. You can't stop them. Inventions, and they fly the ocean. There's always people to go down to Wall Street, too, because they like it. But from what I've seen of you, I don't think you're one of them. I think you're missing something.
I am not aware of missing anything.
I wasn't either, till I quit. I used to get down to that office 9 o'clock sharp, no matter how I felt. Lay awake nights for fear I wouldn't get that contract. Used to worry about the world, too. I got all worked up about whether Cleveland or Blaine was going to be elected president. Seemed awful important at the time, but who cares now? What I'm trying to say, Mr. Kirby, is that I've had 35 years that nobody can take away from me, no matter what they do to the world. You see?
Yes, I do see. And it's a very dangerous philosophy, Mr. Vanderhof. It's un-American. And it's exactly why I'm opposed to this marriage. I don't want Tony to come under its influence.
What's the matter with it, Father?
What's the matter with it? Why, it's downright communism, that's what it is.
Well, you didn't always think so.
I most certainly did. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You didn't always think so because there was a time when you wanted to be trapeze artist.
Don't be an idiot.
Oh, yes, you did. I came across those letters you wrote to Grandfather. Do you remember those?
No! How dare you read those letters? How dare you?
Why, isn't that wonderful? Did you wear tights, Mr. Kirby?
Certainly not. The whole thing is absurd. I was 14 years old at the time.
Yes, but at 18, you wanted to be a saxophone player, didn't you?
Tony!
And at 22, you ran away from home because Grandfather wanted you to go into the business. It's all down there in black and white. You didn't always think so.
Well.
Oh, I may have had silly notions in my youth, but thank God my father knocked them out of me. I went into business and forgot about them.
Oh, not altogether, Father. There's still a saxophone in the back of your clothes closet.
There is?
That's enough, Tony. We'll discuss this later.
No, I want to talk about it now. I think Mr. Vanderhof is right, dead right. I'm never going back to that office. I've always hated it, and I'm not going on with it. And I'll tell you something else. I didn't make a mistake last night. I knew it was the wrong night. I brought you here on purpose.
Tony.
Oh, for heavens.
Because I wanted you to wake up. I wanted you to see a real family as they were. A family that loved and understood each other. You don't understand me. You've never had time. Well, I'm not going to make your mistake. I'm clearing out.
Clearing out? What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not going to be pushed into the business just because I'm your son. I'm getting out while there's still time.
Tony, what are you going to do?
I don't know. Maybe I'll be a bricklayer. But at least I'll be doing something I want to do.
Ding dong.
Oh, that must be the cab.
Ask him to wait a minute, Ed.
Grandpa.
Do you mind, Alice? You know, Mr. Kirby, Tony is going through just what you and I did when we were his age. I think if you listen hard enough, you can hear yourself saying the same thing to your father 25 years ago. We all did it, and we were right. How many of us would be willing to settle when we're young for what we eventually get? All those plans we make, what happens to them? It's only a handful of the lucky ones that can look back and say that they even came close. So, before they clean out that closet, Mr. Kirby, I think I'd get in a few good hours on that saxophone.
I beg your pardon, but before I make the blintzes, how many will there be for dinner?
Your Highness, may I present Mr. Anthony Kirby and Mr. Kirby Jr., the Grand Duchess Olga Katrina.
How's that?
How do you do? Before I make the blintzes, how many will there be for dinner?
Oh, I'd make quite a stack of them, Your Highness. Can't ever tell.
Good. The Tsar always said to me, Olga, do not be stingy with the blintzes.
Who did you say that was, Mr. Vanerhof?
The Grand Duchess Olga Katrina. She's cooking the dinner.
Oh.
And speaking of dinner, Mr. Kirby, why don't you and Tony both stay?
Oh, please do, Mr. Kirby. We've got all that stuff we were going to have last night. I mean, tonight.
Looks like a pretty good dinner, Mr. Kirby. And kind of give us a chance to get acquainted. Why not stay?
Well, how about it, Father? Are we staying for dinner?
Why, if you care to, Tony, I'd like to. Very much.
Now, if Alice will send away that cab, Mr. Vanerhof.
How about it, Alice? Going to be a nice crowd. Don't you think you ought to stay for dinner?
I'm staying, Alice. Families ought to get to know each other, don't you think?
Mr. Kirby. Tony. Oh, Tony. Grandpa, you're wonderful.
Oh, I've been telling you that for years.
Grandpa, here's a letter for you. It was in the icebox.
See. Oh, the government again.
How do you do, Mr. Kirby?
How do you do?
Won't you step into the office, Miss Sycamore? I'd like to do a little dictating.
I better tell that cab.
Well.
What is it, Grandpa?
The United States government apologizes. I don't owe him a nickel. Seems I died 8 years ago.
What do they mean, Grandpa?
Remember Charlie the milkman buried under my name?
Yes.
Well, I just told them that they made a mistake and I was Martin Vanerhof Jr. So they're very sorry and I may even get a refund.
Why, Grandpa, you're an old crook.
Yeah, sure.
Pardon me, how did you say you escaped the income tax, Mr. Vanerhof?
Tonight, my friends, you are going to eat.
Hello there.
How do you do?
Fine. Glad to see you.
What has happened?
He's relaxing. That's right. Go on and play something, Ed.
Everything will be ready in a minute. You can sit down.
Come on, everybody. Dinner? Come on, Mr. Kirby.
Yes. I'm coming.
See, stop dancing and come to dinner.
You will like Russian food, Mr. Kirby.
But you must be careful of your indigestion.
Nonsense. I haven't any indigestion.
Well, Miss Sycamore, how was your trip to the Adirondacks?
Shut your face, Mr. Kirby.
In Russia, when they sit down to dinner...
Quiet, everybody. Quiet. Well, sir, here we are again. We want to say thanks once more for everything you've done for us. Things seems to be going along fine. Alice is going to marry Tony, and it looks as if they're going to be very happy. Of course, the fireworks blew up, but that was Mr. DePina's fault, not yours. We've all got our health, and as far as anything else is concerned, well, we'll leave it to you. Thank you.
Grandpa, I've heard from my friend in Siberia. He has escaped again.
Yeah, but save the stamp for me.
Mr. Kirby, do you like roast goose? We have roast goose for dinner.
Like it? Why, it's my favorite dish.
Mr. Kirby, I'm going to dance for you later. I've got a new mazurka.
I've written some special music for it.
Tell me, Mr. Kirby, what do you think of this Securities Commission?
Mr. DePinna, we've got to start thinking about next year's fireworks.
Well, here goes the Adirondacks.
And a very good thing, too.
Curtain, the end.